Got to get permission.
Yes. So how have you been?
All right. It's been very busy at work. You know, I work in the pediatric part of the hospital, and it's been crazy. We've had the patients staying in the emergency room for 2 and 3 days because we have no room for them in our pediatric ICU.
Wow.
It's not fun.
Asa, did you want me to play with your baby? Bring me your baby.
Cute.
Lamb chop.
Remember lamb chop?
Mhm.
Nope. Still haven't figured out how to put a background on my my tablet when I'm using my tablet instead of my laptop.
Hello.
Hey, Shelley.
Hi.
Hey, Kathleen.
Hi, I don't know if my sound is on.
Yeah, it
You
is.
are. We can hear you. I mean, you've only been on since about 25 after 8 in my time, 25 after 9. So, I mean, you've been kind of sitting there.
Well, I was on, but I wasn't in the room.
You were in the waiting room.
Yeah, but not in the, not sitting
Not
here.
in the meeting.
You just had it set up.
I had it set up, but I had my dog for a walk and a bunch of other things going on.
You must be where it's a little warmer. We had snow today.
So did I.
I'm in Arizona.
Yeah.
It's cool for here, but it's
Yeah.
60 something.
Yeah.
Well,
It's,
it's 60s today, which is not normal for where I am. So
no,
Well,
that,
Wednesday it was in the 80s.
well, we reached 72 in Wisconsin, which is warm, very warm.
Yeah, I don't think it even got 70 here in Phoenix, which is cool for here. But
And
Yeah, that
this
is.
morning I looked outside and went, what's that white stuff? I didn't know it was supposed to do that.
Yeah, it was doing it out, little snow squalls all day. Enough to cover the roofs, but the grass in the streets are still too warm.
Here it was enough to cover the grass, but yet the streets and sidewalks and stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, there was a little bit on the car, but nothing to, worry about.
yeah.
this back,
Sorry, I'm a little tired. I don't know why. I'm just really tired tonight, so.
this background makes me disappear if I move just slightly.
Well, they
Yeah.
all do. They all do. I mean, even if you have one of the green screens, unless you've got a really high-tech camera, they all do it.
Yeah. I mean, I just moved a tiny bit and it,
Yep, you disappear.
right. And it takes me forever to either take it on or off, so I'll just stick with it.
Well, that does happen.
I can't figure out how to put a background on my tablet, which is the one I'm using now. So
Oh, well,
Tablets are weird.
I think it's
don't know.
maybe because it's an app for the website.
Oh, really? It's not, you don't use an app on your tablet?
No, well, actually, this one I came through. I opened up Discord and clicked on the link, so I don't know what it brought me to. But it just
okay.
opened it up.
Tablets work differently with it. They just work differently than laptops. You don't get all
And
the,
it depends on what kind of tablet you have too.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm on a PC. When I'm on my tablet or my phone, it's totally different.
Right.
Which is why I had to change the
The same with
orientation of my screen.
Zoom does the same. You don't get all the choices when you're on a tablet or a phone.
Well, I do.
Yeah, but
I
I do with
don't.
my iPad.
Maybe you're the iPad, but not with an Android. You don't see, you just don't get everything. You can't do everything.
that's why I changed the orientation. This way you can see my curtains instead of the mess that I had to the side of my little sofa that I'm sitting on.
See those boxes?
We can't see Lanier at all, just
Yeah.
a ceiling.
See it?
There, now we can see her. Well, now we can see her chin.
Oh, no, no, up a little, up a little.
But we can see Ellen.
Ellen, you're on mute.
Her
Ellen, you're on mute if you want to
children.
talk, though.
Yeah,
there
I
you
usually just mute myself because of background noise.
Hello.
This is
Hello.
Trinity,
Hi,
future tag
Trinity.
fan.
How are you tonight?
Good.
Good.
So let's get started. I'm going to start with my favorite minor character, and that's Charles Lark.
I suppose he's minor, but he's actually, in my mind, kind of major just because he's always in Gwen's mind, you know?
Well, it's her father. I mean, he is in all 4 books.
Right.
More prominently, of course,
He's a
in
supporting character.
yes,
He's a
good-
supporting character, not a major character.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is a good secondary character. He's got,
Yeah.
you can see where Gwen gets her quiet strength, because that's what he has.
You
People
can,
people are always underestimating him. Ramatat tries his best to, get the better of him, and he foils him every single time, which I just love. I mean, I love to see that man get foiled. Especially when he goes, oh, I'm divine, I'm a god, and you can't mess with me. And he's going, oh yeah, really? Guess what?
it's also cool. We didn't learn as much about it because it was covered quickly in the last book. But when you think about the future, how things were going to be, he would have had a major part of, because of all the history he understood, as in Atlantis. I think he would have been.
Well, I am currently doing my reread of Survive to get some things done that I'm working on with Vera. And it occurred to me, I mean, there was a couple of things that just really popped out. Oh, okay.
She's
That's
outside.
going to happen. Oh, here's Miss Australia.
Ms. Australia
Hi.
is here. Not from Greece,
Wait a minute,
from
I'm turning around the
Australia.
other way, sorry. How
But
are
there
you
was-
all?
Fine, how are you doing? How's the family?
Good. Oh, well, thank you. Having a
Good,
good time.
good. Carrie made it. Hi, Carrie.
I
Hi, Carrie.
I don't know why I don't have any sound.
You do.
We can hear you.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, we heard you. We hear
Oh.
you.
Heard?
Yeah, we heard you.
Excuse me. I guess I must have had I guess I must have had my laptop on mute. I don't use it too often anymore. I still have my name wrong. I see. I thought I only had that on. Oh, well, I'll rename
Well,
myself. Well, I
you're
can't
fine.
rename myself.
Tonight you're Frank.
Yeah, tonight I'll be Frank. No, call me Tom.
Okay, Tom.
All right, now you can rename yourself.
Okay.
And Alex is on. Hi, Alex. Good to see you
Hello.
again.
Nice to see you too.
Hi.
Yay, I'm me now.
Okay,
I
now,
will figure out how to change that. It's not that hard to do, but I don't know.
You know,
Maybe I'll
just-
go-
Yeah.
Laptop set up with Zoom and he can use his own.
So
well,
what
anyway,
are you
we're
over in-
talking about secondary characters, and I started out with my favorite as being Charles.
Yeah.
one of the things that's kind of popped out at me, especially in reading Survive, is as he was getting stronger and the days went on, he really started, he had a really good friendship with the first priest, who I always thought was, definitely an imperial crony, which he is, but he's also not. And Council Denu. He becomes good friends with both of them, which I thought, okay, that's good. Council Denu, I can understand. The first priest kind of surprised me.
Is it because of their age, you think?
Well, that could be, and the fact that the first priest, number one, knows that Charles has Logos voice. So therefore, he's got a little bit of hero worship there because of that. And
I think also they're
his-
interested in the arcane.
huh?
Also, they're interested in the arcane,
Yeah, I was
the-
gonna say they're both
Charles
sort of
would be very
historians in a
respectful.
way.
Oh, yeah,
No matter what
very
else he
sure
thought
that-
of the family, I think he was very respectful of the background because of his interests in the ancient world.
Yeah.
So they had, they had some things in common. And you could see the admiration growing from the time that they discovered the sarcophagus on the Ghost Moon.
Yeah.
Charles is in the workroom for the first time. And Owalis, I think it was Redden that said, well, we need we need an antiquities specialist. And Owala looks at Charles, well, we have one right here.
Exactly.
So somebody else mentioned a favorite character, a favorite secondary character of theirs.
I didn't think. I'm really-
Oh, you're
I
supposed to
know,
be prepared.
I know. Well, it's just
It's
been
been a little-
crazy.
You've had
Been
some
a
other
Been a
things
little
on your mind.
preoccupied,
but,
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I've been fairly occupied, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go.
Are you
I'm-
outside, Liz?
Sorry.
you-
Yeah, I'm outside because my family are inside and it'll be too noisy. I can't ask them to stop talking.
What time is
Oh.
it there?
It's 2:00, just after 2:00 in the afternoon.
Okay, on Sunday. On Sunday?
Yeah, on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Nice day.
Tomorrow.
It was raining this morning, but now
She's
it's
a time
okay.
traveler. She's,
Tomorrow, I'm a time traveler. Yeah.
she's in the future, guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Tell us
I
what's
am.
going on Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us the news tomorrow.
Yeah. It doesn't work that way, I don't think. Hmm.
Well, I'll go next. I really liked, I think I'm saying it right because it's been a while since I've read it. Tiago from
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I just think he helped really ground Gwen for the games. I think things would have been much more difficult for her if he hadn't shared his story with her, and he was always on her side. you
Yeah.
know.
And he made her realize it was possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the big thing, because then he goes, look at me,
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
500 pounds, but whatever he weighed, I was just coming up with a number.
Yeah.
A very large man. He goes, I made it, so why can't you?
Yeah. And I mean, and he did everything he could to help her. Even with the interview and even though it did him, having him interview her on his show boosted his ratings and everything. I don't really think that was why he did it.
No. I think he generally liked her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and I really think that, Anu was the one that, brought him to her. So I think, when they were deciding, okay, who shall we pick? And then Anu goes, I really think we got to do Tiago.
Yeah, because he knew all the past winners, he knew who they were and
Well,
He
so did the other guy, but the other guy was kind of a jerk.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was what are kind of nowadays a typical media person, just in it for the
And I don't think
bite.
Anna would have had much time for him anyway.
No.
Yeah, no,
No,
Tiago
not
came
really.
from a small, a small village like Anu did, whereas
Mhm.
Pace was the you look down your look down your nose at people type,
Mhm.
Yeah,
the
It's
pandering
kind of
type.
like, he reminds me, Buddhist reminds me a lot of the East Coast commentators when they're doing Midwestern sports. They look down on Midwestern sports. I
Yeah.
mean, like, we
Yeah.
can't have a football team because we're not on the East or West Coast, so we're not good enough.
yeah.
No, football play,
Surely not.
football's pretty popular in the middle of the country.
Well, I would tend to disagree with you on that, but but it all depends. But they're down on, because they don't think much of us. And he didn't think much of Gwen. Of course, everybody underestimated her, which is what they wanted. But yeah, I like Tiago.
Yeah, I just really, I mean, when you think of all of the characters, because there's a lot of characters, to make each one of them so
Distinct.
different, distinct.
Detail.
Distinct.
Yeah, you don't get that many pages of them, but you really get the sense of kind of who they are and what makes them tick. And I just thought she did a really good job with Tiago.
I'm always amazed
I like,
with
yeah.
her. Go ahead. I'll talk in a minute.
I was just thinking of the Imperator and how we were all made to hate him and think he was so terrible. But by the end of the story, you actually sympathize with him. Even if you don't love him, you sympathize with him.
Yeah.
At least I did.
Yes.
I mean, when you think of when he reveals, when they find, when they have the last big, council session with the other heads of states, and up until that point, he's kind of putting his nose down. When he talks to Aeson, it's like, well, you may be my son, but you're not worthy to be my son, and Gwen is definitely not worthy. And then when they tell him that they know how to talk to the Pegasi, and he goes, Aeson, what's going on? And it was just, his attitude was totally different. The way he treated Manala was different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Elizabeth's right. At the very end, you did feel a little for him, but at the very end, I mean,
Yeah.
he only gets redeemed in the last little bit, in my view.
Well, I mean, to me, it started about
started
that
now.
point.
I agree. It started around about then. He did seem to change and be more open to their suggestions and way of dealing with the whole terrible situation.
And, and then you find out that, he's had this burden that he's had to bear bear on his own. He's not told anybody, what his father told him.
Yeah.
He was very devious. I mean, even though.
Oh, yeah, he was that too. I mean, it was.
That's why he's such a good character. That's why he's such a good character.
Yeah.
Because you can hate him, but you can also sympathize. Not necessarily love him, but sympathize with him.
Or
Well,
at least understand it, but the problem is that he had very rigid thinking as to how to fix the problem. And he didn't appeal to his son or to other people who thought differently from him.
Nor to Devora. I mean, he
Another
could have
solution.
shared some of his burden. He just chose not to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't get
makes a
that from
really
his father.
great
I mean, we don't
for
know a whole
Aeson.
lot about his father, but from the little bit that we do know, it doesn't seem like he got that attitude from his father. So I don't know where he got it.
No,
but,
I know.
but you know what? You never know what the underlings that were taking care of the prince in waiting were doing. You only have to look at the current British royal family to see that. What amazes me about Vera's books is that, like the Harry Potter series, there's some buried in each book that you don't see coming. There are hints that don't come about until very far down the line. They're very well written. She's as good a writer as and I can't Rowling is, or better.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, I think part of that sympathy is, you see that, okay, Romutat had childhood trauma, and really it was generational trauma that you can figure, he passed it down to Ace, and it was probably at some level passed to him from his father and
Yeah,
all the Cassie males. But I think he makes a really amazing foil for Aeson in that in Romutat, you see what Aeson could have become,
right.
because he had similar trauma and he could have been a jerk, but instead, he really took more from his mother and just kind of, leaned into love instead.
Well,
Yeah,
and you
I
all,
can
and
relate
you
to that.
also
His mother
see
was a
that,
saving grace.
you also see
Mm.
that what Aeson would have become if he had married Tyrion.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he
Exactly.
would have become his father.
Yes.
He would have become emotionally distant from everybody.
But then his father married a very wonderful woman, and
Yeah.
it didn't soften him up. But I think that dealing with Tira day to day would be enough that he would have disassociated himself entirely, except for breeding more children.
Yes. I mean, as it's mentioned in Ace and Black, well, I don't have to be emotionally involved to
Yeah.
engage in a physical activity. And he was, so he was prepared to have a life of, okay, I have a need. So, get in bed, lay down, let me take care of it. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Kind of
Giggle to
wham bam,
yourself.
thank you, ma'am. Huh?
Giggle to yourself, Nancy.
Uh-huh.
I think the funniest part there was when was during something another, and Aeson said, well, he had, okay, Gwen has to talk with Devora. Aeson doesn't have a talk with his father. In fact, he had to get his information from the priest.
Yeah.
At least the part about the contraceptive,
Yeah.
but also, but also before his first rite, they would have, the priest would have sat down and explained what he was supposed to do.
Not a whole lot, because of the questions he asked. He was very concerned about the second woman, and so that was kind of cute.
Yeah. She
But
got
you wonder,
into
though,
You
really no
you have to
barracks
learn from a love priest about love. So
Yeah.
like, really, there was no barracks talk,
Not around him, I don't think. I mean,
considering how
I
advanced.
don't
everything
know.
else
I
was.
mean, it's kind of, he had
all
close
right,
friends.
okay,
obviously,
we've got a couple of characters. Okay, how about another character?
Kathleen,
How
who's your
I
secondary-
really like,
Oh, I'm just enjoying the conversation.
I
How
really like
second-
Kokai.
About
How
cute.
secondary do you consider Anu?
There's the cute one.
Yes,
I
love
think
I love Anu.
I think
gotta
he's a
admit,
major character, though.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think he's really secondary. He has a lot, has quite a big
he's
role.
supporting. He's a supporting character,
He's a
definitely.
supporting character, but I don't think he's minor. I think he's
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
well,
pretty-
Well, he's
secondary.
definitely a secondary character. So
I mean, the book would have been different without I mean, you could have done the book without a Tiago. You could have easily done it
But
without
I will definitely admit,
but
I was
not without Nanu.
I was never really a fan of Anu. I really, because he's, the personality is the type that definitely turns me off.
Yeah.
But after reading the books many, 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 many times, and reading the subtext and the other things that we were talking about, it's like he kind of went out of his way to help Gwen,
yes.
even though it didn't seem like it at the time.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
no, he was
The first time teaching her how to drive, teaching her how to pilot the shuttle, or what happens when you
Well,
pilot.
I'm totally loyal to Aunt Aeson. I mean, he would have done anything.
But at that point, Gwen was just an Earth girl. And it's like, and I still don't know whether or not it was more that he was showing off in front of her, saying, I'm so smart and you're not, stupid Earth girl.
oh yeah.
So but I think in his own weird way, he was trying to help her. I mean, Genny
Well,
always wanted to help her, but when it came time for, like, say, when it went during creating the rim, Anu was trusted enough and was willing to help at that point, I don't think it was just for helping Ace and he wanted to help Gwen.
Well, he
Well,
also
yeah, I
brought
mean,
in,
he told her, he's the one that said, well, you know, you're gonna train as hard as you can, and then you're gonna die. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it that way, you know?
but then he bet
Yeah.
on her, but then he bet on
Then he
her.
bet on her. So, you know, which is, well, you know,
It might
okay,
have been
guys,
after
you
the
know,
rim was-
he goes, well, yeah,
Even after
because
the
I
rim
want a
was
lot of
created,
money.
though.
He bet on everything
But
though.
he,
Yeah, but
he might not
bet
have bet on her in the first
her
stage.
to win. He didn't bet on what's his name, the guy
Deneb.
who died on the last.
Deneb?
leg. Yeah,
The
Good thing
Deneb?
ab-
yeah,
Yeah,
The good thing about Gwen was though, you didn't have to bet much to win a lot.
right.
Betting on Gwen to win, you didn't have to put in a huge amount of money, and if you lost it, so never mind. But
Yeah,
you would have still won a lot because the
Yeah.
odds were
Especially in
so incredibly high.
Especially in the beginning when, you know, like the odds
Yeah.
were like 1,000 to 1.
right.
Now later as she
Oh.
started winning,
Yeah.
I'm sure the odds went down a little bit, but
Oh yeah, they would have. Yeah.
Well, they would have for everybody because there were just fewer people to go along. But yeah, she was showing especially after stage 2, when she showed her voice.
Yeah,
I think just the fact that she survived stage 1, you know.
yeah.
yes.
It's
You
so
know,
weird.
she
Who's
and
your
she created
favorite?
her team and she's going, no, we're just a group together. And Rick goes, no, we're a team. We're your team. No, you know, the whole concept of her being a leader just went straight over her head. Bree's another one I like too.
yeah. He's got a slightly bigger role. All of the people on Gwen's team in the games were kind of interesting, and they all have their own little backstories. I think one person who I always kind of hoped we would see more of, but we never did after they left Earth, was Zoe
Yeah,
from the semifinals.
You don't even know if they made it to if they made it.
Yeah,
to the
you don't even know. You don't even know if they made it to the ships or anything like that. But
right.
she was kind of an interesting character. I mean, you know, they kidnapped her board to begin with, but she, you know, she was sort of okay with it after they explained, which made sense. You know, they're like, look, you're better off in a team than you are on your own. And then, you know, towards the end, when Gwen was really hurting and limping along and everything, she kind of helped her out. And so she had a little bit of compassion going there, which a lot of the other competitors didn't. It was, I mean, it had to be dog eat dog when you're fighting for your life like that.
And, you know, Gwen had the group with her that supported her. He goes, well, you know, you guys can go on, you know, nope. We know a good thing when we see it.
Yeah.
So we're sticking with you. If it's going to take you a while, then we're just going to wait. You know, we're going to go with you.
I think Shelley's definition of this trying to choose if it's a secondary character or supporting character. We all remember, like you said, we all remember Tiago's name, but they could have had it, that story. The story could have been built without him.
Yeah,
Where so many of the other people, I mean, I have a lot of favorites, but I think they're almost major characters. I mean, like Arita is my favorite, you know,
right.
but she's not a secondary character.
No, she's
Yeah.
absolutely necessary. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't really see much
I
of it
know
up until.
Vera said
stage
it when
3.
she was first writing that scene that she was going to have Arita die.
Sure.
Oh,
And
That
I
would've
told
made
her,
me
I
cry
said,
about
if you had Arita die, I would have yelled at you.
That would have made
Yeah.
me
Well,
cry
I
about.
seriously
remember
thought
thinking-
about it, and I said, no. Arita could not die.
Yeah, she said she refused to
Vera
die.
said, okay, I won't kill her off then, just for you. Well,
Well, she did die, but she came back again. Almost died.
Yes.
that's true.
The Pegasi kept her alive. Otherwise, she would have died.
Yeah, she and
Mason as well, so.
And Hasmic.
Hasmeek
Oh,
would
yeah.
have Hasmeek would have been gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Hasmeek is, I think, a secondary or a minor character because really could have built the book without her. Although there were scenes that were important, I guess, for Gwen, like when she got punished for helping her, you know, during training and at the RQC or at the
It didn't
NQ.
necessarily have to be Hasmeek, though. It would have been, you know, anybody that Gwen felt sympathy for. And she
Right.
did Had a lot of,
Wouldn't have had to been,
almost too
has-
empathetic
She was pretty
for her
important
own
in
safety.
the space scene, though.
but she was very important at the end, yeah. And in Survive.
Well,
I
she
know, I
became important to more, not so much to Gwen as to Manala.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm. If there was a character in Gwen's group of friends that was slightly minor, it might almost have been Dawn because she
Yeah.
didn't take as big of a role. Husband
No.
took much
Right.
of a bigger role in everything than.
Yeah, no, they could have easily done the whole book without Dawn.
I did like her though.
I liked her.
Oh, I liked her too a lot. All of
Yeah.
her friends had different characteristics, but they were all supportive in one way or another.
Mhm.
They were all decent human beings. I think
Yeah.
that's,
I'll bet
Even-
That's who Gwen attracted. She was a decent human being and she attracted decent human beings
yeah.
and people who valued that.
Yeah,
I'll
Yeah.
bet
Bree,
if the movie
Bree used her initially as a way to get out of correctional, but then she really grew to respect her.
who's that? I missed.
Sorry, Bree.
Bree,
Bree,
Yeah,
yes.
Bree. Yeah,
Yes,
she didn't have any much use for her at the beginning.
no,
Well, I
But-
mean, she was given the wrong impression. And who knows who she got that impression from? I mean, it's quite possible that, you know, a certain person shall remain unnamed that, you know, could have said some bad things about her.
One of Nancy's least favorite characters.
Yes, one of
I
my
think there
very
was
least favorite
also-
characters, and everybody knows what I'm talking about.
that would actually be a
also an
good
element
topic
of
for another
jealousy
fan
there.
chat. Who's your least favorite character and why?
Because with
except for
everybody does.
Ramatat. You can't count Ramatat.
Yeah,
yeah, well, with Bree, you know, I think that was kind of one of Bree's first impressions is I think she had the hots for Logan. And I think she's like, ew, who is this girl that, you know, has what I want? And
My assumption, although we haven't gotten Bree's novella yet, is that she knew who Logan was, maybe even at the NQC, because she was higher up in her.
maybe, but she said something
yeah.
like
Yeah,
at
and
one
then-
point. She
so
was
she
like,
would've
and how
seen
did you
him-
get him? You know,
You know,
yeah.
she would have seen him and Gwen together and wondered.
Mhm.
But the thing is, you know, there's some kind of, I mean, almost inconsistencies there because the whatchamacallit happens like they're 3 days into their journey. So she's only seen Logan with her once on the ship at the most, and that
Well,
was, you know, earlier
that's why I
that
was
day.
thinking that she knew who he was at the NQC and may have been keeping tabs on him then.
That's now that makes sense. That makes
That,
more
you know,
sense.
and at that point, they were definitely a full blown, you know, full on couple.
Yes,
Whereas on the ship, I mean, she would have only seen them interact maybe once.
mhm.
That was the other inconsistent part because she said she wanted to be reinstated in the fleet and she, you know, jumped so quickly to where she was on the PRT team, but she'd only had like two or three pilot training classes. So
If
at
that,
point,
if that, yeah.
yeah, you know,
Not
and,
even.
But you know, she's a quick learner.
yeah, no, I assume that.
And this was actually, let's see, this was Red Pegasus when they do that. So that's about,
No, it was a few months in, yes,
it's
definitely.
about
but
3
she
months
didn't have-
after the game. So that gives her plenty of time for
no,
pilot
but she
training.
definitely didn't have the year that all the others had.
Well, yeah, she didn't have the simulator. She had the real thing.
Yeah, she didn't have
And
that.
she was
didn't have-
already elite. There was a reason she was on the command ship.
True.
But she was always capable. I mean, she was,
Yes,
right,
and
yeah.
we don't really know how old she was. I mean, because Gwen doesn't
She
say.
couldn't have been more than 19 because that was the maximum age.
So she was maybe 8. I'm thinking she was around George's age.
Probably, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
a
I got
year,
that impression.
maybe 2 years older than Gwen. She would have been at the maximum.
Yeah.
So she could have very well had 1 full year of military training. And she was, you know, she was good at what she did.
yeah, she was good at what she did. Because
Yeah,
Asa
what
looked
about
at
you-
all your
what about
scores
you,
and
Liz?
everything.
What about you, Liz? Who's one of your favorite secondary characters? You gotta unmute though.
I've muted because it's the wind gets in the trees and
oh.
it makes this roar, and I think you're probably
Oh.
going to hear it.
Okay. Well, at least
A
it is.
secondary character, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I should have prepared before, but I've been too busy.
Yeah, you have,
I can understand that.
yeah.
Yeah. Chioko is also an interesting character. I think you could probably say a secondary character.
Yeah. I think so.
Vera uses her to transmit various things, but it could have been anybody again.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that she has a person of that nationality and that size who managed to pass qualification and be on the ship and be on command ship too. So there's something there that we don't really get to see a lot about because we don't know a lot of her backstory or anything else about her. So there's things to consider about Chioko.
Mhm.
I like her too.
I
I
wonder
just
if
got that-
everybody that was on ICS2 or on the command ships in general was brought there, because, you know, they were moving a lot of people around those first few days. But I wonder if they just
Well,
had a lot
that's
of people
true.
on that ship who
Could've-
just happened to
To
get
be
on
there.
that ship when they were
I'm
assisting.
I kind of
sure.
think there was a combination.
Mhm.
They took, of course, they wanted the best on the command ships because they were the command ships.
Yeah.
More than likely, Asen got top pick. Only because he was SPC commander, but he might have deferred some of his choices to Rasoy because he was the commander of the fleet.
Do you think,
Yeah, I think they kind of went through the list. Oh, well, we want this person and this person and this person, because it just so happened that each ship got 6 EU members, which I found kind of odd.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then
Well, there was
the
something
other
going
thing
on
I
behind the
kind of
scenes. that
found
we don't
odd
know
was
about.
when Logan talked about, well, these are my orders. Well, how are you getting orders when there's a dampening field? And how are you getting orders when you're on the ship?
Yeah. There
Yeah,
was
that
some
was never
cooperation with some Atlanteans behind the scenes that we never found out about,
Right.
because
Yeah.
they
It's
figured
kind
out
of
how to
implied.
allocate people like that.
Mhm. There
Well, and
had
I
to
think
be.
it kind of makes sense though that EU folks wound up on the command ships, because when you think about how EU selected their people, they selected very elite individuals who were likely to qualify. And
Yeah.
if they were
Mhm.
that good, then they were
high
probably
military.
among the top qualifiers. They probably got sent to the command ships.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, and I'm
the
pretty sure Asen wouldn't object if Rezoy said, well, I want this kid Logan Songray.
Well, I mean, who knows? Asen might have said, why don't you take him? You know,
Yeah.
or, you know, he was at
you
your
might have
RPC.
sent him to the command
Yeah,
ship.
well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd be willing to bet.
So, I mean, yeah, he's pretty good. So why don't you take him? I mean, he wanted to keep him. You know, you can't say he didn't want to keep him separate.
yeah, you'd
Yeah.
think you wouldn't want them together.
Then you had the Psy twins.
Oh,
on
yeah.
RQC who never really played a role of much, and you never really heard them talk or nothing, no interactions with them really. They were just noticed at different places, but
And they were always together. And they were,
they were
you know,
always together, but I just wondered, you know, if they were that elite, and they seem to be pretty elite, if they were part of the Union or not, the Earth Union, or if
no,
they,
because they were, you know, they were on the they weren't well, if they were, they weren't involved with the
no,
They weren't involved with the overturning of
no, I
anything.
don't think they were part of the Earth Union. It's just amazing to me though, that they really weren't part of any.
And you know, the other thing that it kind of bothered me about them, okay, is it seemed like they were 2 parts of a whole.
Yeah,
You know, they weren't, I mean, you know, I kind of wondered, okay, well, what if they got separated? Would they still operate as well? They did everything together.
yeah,
know,
I don't-
It's
They
kind
were probably competitive among themselves. I mean, if one was 1 and one was 2, you can bet that the one who was number 2 wanted to be number 1, but yeah.
yeah.
it's kind of interesting. You have to wonder if the movie or TV show or whatever ever comes to be, if that will if they will put secondary and supporting characters in the same kind of place that we do. We know the main characters are going to be the main characters, but you have to wonder if some of the people like Dawn, for instance, if they'll even show her, or if maybe they'll show her more. You know, it'll be interesting.
Don't know. Yeah, you don't know. They could
No,
build
no,
up.
there are a lot of factors why
It all depends on the screenwriters.
right.
And then,
And money and budget. If they don't
Well,
have the
okay,
big
to-
budget,
to
they'll
give
cut
you,
characters.
to use another series as an example, Outlander, the character Murtaugh. He died at in the battle with the Jacobites. The one when Jamie, thought he was going to die. He died, but in the TV show, he didn't die. And that was because the fans liked his character on the TV show. So they decided, well, we won't kill him off, and we'll have him later, and then he'll die.
But I think that might be interesting because for all, I mean, I know all of us, if it ever comes to be, all of us will look at that and think, oh, that isn't how I saw that person or whatever. And
No, that's true. And sometimes they amalgamate certain
Yes.
minor characters into one,
Yes.
and that character will do the things that 2 or 3 other characters did.
yeah,
They did that in Harry Potter.
yeah.
There were things that Dobby did that when they did the movies, they changed it to somebody else doing it. Because it made more sense for them to do it that way. Who knows? And yeah, I mean, and that all depends on what the screenwriters do and what kind of supporting characters they have. But back to
The
the
other
book.
thing, is that Vera is very versatile, not versatile, varied in her ethnicities, and that's a big thing at the moment, to have a little bit of everybody represented. So they might keep those like Kyoko and Dawn from a different and Hasmik from another, to keep that sense of everybody is the same. We're all human, and we all have the same opportunity, and we can all make something of ourselves, and
Yeah,
what I mean?
Definitely.
And Vera does that because she also comes from a varied background and is in another country altogether, and she made something of herself, and that's basically part of the theme of the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a blending of all sorts of things. I mean, Claudia, in the end of Survive, when she's on the PRT team,
Yeah.
Gwen looks at her and goes, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
I volunteered. I mean, she's extremely respectful, and it's just a totally, oh, okay, well, okay, glad you qualified. And then when she pushes her, and then Gwen realizes that she took a bullet for her.
Yeah.
Changed character completely.
Well, she
I
was,
thought that would happen. I thought that would happen with Brie. With Gabriella. What was the name?
Claudia,
Claudia.
Claudia. That's right. Claudia. Yeah, I thought that would happen with her.
Yeah.
I just had a feeling that she would turn good with the Atlantean influence.
Yeah. She was in with a crowd that I don't know. We don't know her background at all, of course, but some people just do their best to blend in with the crowd because they're insecure, or because being in a gang keeps you alive, or because, I mean, we don't know any of that stuff about her, but when she got in with the Atlanteans and maybe the rest of her crowd wasn't there, she picked up a completely different.
Maybe even started in the finals when she was in that situation where they all thought they were going to drown,
Yeah.
and Gwen's so-called abilities saved them. So
Yeah.
this is somebody to respect, not somebody to jeer.
Yeah.
And we don't actually know specifically, because when Vera didn't mention anybody specifically other than Derek, who passed semifinals. because he was the
Yeah.
only one she specifically mentioned. So she
Yeah.
might have been lost. I always like to have in my head, I always had this little thing that because Awala was one of their main instructors, that they wrote, that they, made comments on all the cadets, and all the candidates under their control. And that's also part of how people got rearranged or whatever. And she might have put some little remarks in there about her attitude and how best to deal with a bully. And she might have been taken down a peg or two during
Possibly. Yeah,
training.
it's possible.
Derek may very well have died in that cavern because he was bullying his way to the top, and that
Right.
explosion happened above them. So he may have been in the explosion when it happened.
Hmm.
Yeah, the explosion that we are led to believe was done by the terrorists, and it was actually done by the Atlanteans,
Yeah.
Hmm.
which is interesting
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because we have a lot of I mean, there's various the first priest. First I didn't like him, and then I got to like him.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
They kind of, I mean, some of the characters just tend to grow on you as you start to get to know them in a different light.
Hmm.
I loved the venerable one. I just love that little old lady.
And I can picture her. It's going to be hard for me to accept something different than I have in my head. Does anybody watch NCIS?
You think of
Oh, yeah.
Linda Hunt?
Huh?
You
Linda
think of
Hunt.
Linda Hunt?
The one who plays
Totally Linda Hunt.
Yeah,
We're talking
definitely.
the Hetty.
Yeah, Linda Hunt.
Linda Hunt.
Actually,
the actress.
the person I actually always see in my head, which is impossible because this was from 50 years ago and the actress was old then. But if any of you are Star Trek fans, original series, the Amok Time episode where Spock has to go home to Vulcan, and it's what's her name?
T'Pau.
T'Pau. That's who I
Yep.
picture. That's literally who I
I could
picture.
see that.
And when Gwen sees her for the first time, that's the music that's in my head.
Yeah, that fight music.
That's literally who that's literally who I see. So nobody else is going to live up to that. But yeah, no, I agree with Linda Hunt also.
Like seriously, the shout out Mapes from the 1984 Dune. Like that was the image in my head the first time I read Survive. When I read about the Venerable One, I was like, I see you.
Mhm.
Some of Vera's characters are so well described, you get just an image in your head.
Yep.
Yeah, but I love how she goes from the wedding planner from, this wedding planner from hell
Yeah.
to I have to thank her for so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it was kind of, well, what about Earth Christians? Well, if they don't interfere, and then, of course, that she talked to Aeson about the, different things, and so he said, he went to her and said, I'd like to do the rings. I think that's nice, and the kiss would be nice too. Well, that doesn't interfere. Okay, yes, you can do that.
She's probably the most feared person in the story.
But
yeah.
yet she was feared, but Devora seemed to really like her.
Respected.
Respect her, I think, probably more than, yeah.
But in the end, Gwen began to not only, fear her and respect her, she began to like her a little bit.
Hmm.
What's up, baby?
Oh my
Oh.
gosh, you're all disappearing.
Everybody's disappearing with backgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I turned mine off because otherwise I would have children's heads popping in and out all the time.
Oh, I like seeing
Look
the
at this.
kids too.
I have the best background. It's natural.
Yes,
There
it
you go.
is.
Nice.
You
Yes,
do have the best background for sure.
We're right in the middle of the city here. One thing that's really struck me this time is how many trees there are.
Yes.
Sydney, When I grew up in it, there were hardly any, and now there's just trees everywhere.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And birds,
Super
lots of
good.
birds. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where are you again?
Sydney.
I'm in Sydney.
But that's not where you live in, that's not where you live all the
No,
time.
no, no. I'm visiting family in Sydney, Australia.
Well, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely. These are gum trees, you know, really,
They're
really tall.
huge.
And I don't know if you can see this one here. I know I'm getting off track, but this is just beautiful. Look at this tree. You'll have to look up here like that. Can you see it?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
purple.
Yeah.
Look at all the flowers on the floor. Just this morning, they've all come down on the floor.
Oh, they just fall.
It's called a jacaranda tree.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Come here.
I think they come from South Africa, but they're here. They have a lot in Australia, and in springtime they're just gorgeous. But anyway, back to the discussion.
And it is springtime there for you, isn't it? Because it's
It
fall
is.
for
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
Come
yeah.
here. Say hi to everybody. Say hi.
Hi, Asen.
Yeah,
Nice.
looks a lot better without the background because he's whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, he is gorgeous.
Got his little scarf that he got for his birthday from the vet.
Yeah.
She gave him a shot. and
My background is I have the TV on showing politics. You don't want to see that.
No,
No,
nope, all done with that.
Pardon?
Oh, well.
Not quite. We're still waiting for counts.
Well,
Yeah,
that-
there's still.
You can be done with it, but it won't be done with you.
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
true.
I try not to think about it too much, though.
yeah.
I
no,
know,
the
me
other-
too. I haven't even been following. I know our accounts weren't in for a while, but I kind of haven't even
No,
been.
I was just watching. The Dems are keeping the Senate.
Yeah,
I'm not making a
Yeah.
judgment. I'm just saying that's the news.
that's
Yeah.
the news of the day.
Yeah, no, the other day we were watching Jeopardy and then I got up, it was over and I walked out of the living room, came back and my daughter who had control of the remote had CNN on. And it's like, really, why are we watching that? Well, Daddy wants to watch. I said, I don't care. Why are we watching it?
It's just,
That's
at
awful.
some point, you just kind of I just can't take anymore
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
for a
watching
while.
tonight because of the things coming in, but
Yeah,
yeah. Although it's been kind of cool as the background I have, that's one of the things from
James Webb.
yeah, and it's kind of cool. You can just pull those off.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
That whole thing is amazing.
So, does anybody else have a favorite?
Somebody mentioned one earlier in passing in our discussions, and I was thinking that was an interesting character, but now I can't remember who it was.
It might
You
have
know
been
who I
me.
really loved? I
really
loved,
like cocaine.
oh, what the guy from the games on Gwen's team who won?
Katab?
Cocaine.
Kokai
Yeah,
and his mother,
yeah.
his
Oh, I
mother.
love
His
his
mother.
mother.
Mother, what was his mother's name?
I can't remember. Mamai.
Yeah, I don't know.
that's just the word for
Doesn't have
mother.
I
a
don't think they gave
He
her
doesn't
a
have a name.
first name.
Yeah, Mamai.
You just
Um,
call, Mamai is Atlantean for mama.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, she was Mamai was yeah, she was a character. So was he, but
Well,
Yeah.
you can see where he got some of his, when
Drama?
yeah, I mean, she's
Drama,
definitely
yeah.
full of drama. Why did you do that? You left me,
yeah,
just like your father did.
yeah. Well, because she totally expected him to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some similarities with that history and with the new chapter she's putting out. That
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the grandmother.
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, who would actually do anything for her family. Yeah.
Right.
still points to a matrilineal society or a matriarchal society other than possibly in the imperial family.
Yeah,
But
It's
she could,
interesting that they have the grandmother being like you said, the matriarch of the family, because if you think about ancient history, women had very little power in those days, and yet she
It
get rid of
depended
her
on, it
son,
Matriarchal
depended on the
society.
culture. There were some that were definitely matriarchal.
Yeah.
I thought ancient Egypt had much more equality
Yes.
than some of the others, which is where I still picture most of the background of this coming from.
Yeah,
I mean, the ancient Greeks were more, women were, if you look at the pictures, the women were all nice and plump because women were only good for having babies. The men were nice and, toned and muscled and,
because they were
uh,
yeah, because they were
they worshiped the male body, but the woman was only for, she was a vessel for babies. So it didn't matter what she looked like. So, I mean, that's not, but, in Semi's family in Eos, the father's a deadbeat. So, grandma's
Yeah.
got to step up.
yeah.
Yeah, but Sammy's mom kind of reminds me of Kokai's mom. You
Well,
know,
no, that's her that's her grandmother.
that's her grandma. Yeah,
Her mother died,
right. That's her grandma.
but that's her grandma.
But yeah, there are similarities. But you only know one snippet of Kokai's Mamai.
Yeah,
You know, a pretty small snippet of her.
yeah, but it sounds like there was a lot of tension there for maybe a fairly long time.
Yeah, they were maybe estranged for a while.
Tension, but also a really like a love and a really deep relationship, I think.
Mhm.
Like I've actually known, people in kind of similar situations in real life. And it's a very complex kind of relationship where it's like, oh my gosh, this person, has really done so much to me, has beaten me over the head. It would be, a thing to just like estrange myself, walk away, do my own thing, never look back. And yet they don't forget where they came from. And they do still have that bond. And it is very strong, stronger even than, some more typical looking
Oh, yeah.
families.
Yeah. You got a real snuggle bug on you tonight.
Yeah, he's been having a little bit of a tough time. He's got a little bit of a tummy ache, I think, and
Yeah.
I can feel him kind of tensing up. So he's very much like wants to be on me. I
Yeah.
think we have our very first consistent word that he's actually using more, and it's ma.
Oh,
All right.
yay.
With most of the kids, it's dad first, and I'm like,
Oh,
yay.
yay, Ma.
What time is it where you are?
9
Colorado.
o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm in Mountain Time.
Oh, same here, same as here.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, it is 9 o'clock. Holy cow. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have any other characters that
I don't know.
pop out?
Anybody else who hasn't shared that wants to?
Alex, are you still there?
He's
not
on, but maybe he's not on.
He might have stepped away for a second. He's in his bedroom and I'm in the living room.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
I can't really see from where I am.
Yeah.
But it was funny. Like when we were having the whole talk about, who's a minor character, who's a secondary character, who's a major character. That was actually a conversation that a couple of my kids and I were having. I think it was yesterday. So we were talking about some of them and they're like, oh, well, is that a minor character? I don't know. They're pretty important. And it was funny that whole thing came up.
Hmm.
Well, it some of your minor characters do become important.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're, you know, when you're looking, I mean, if Gwen mentions a name, yeah, they're gonna pop up a few times. If they have a last name, they're generally going to pop up a lot more. But if I've only got a first name, you may not ever see them again.
I'm trying to remember the two, I would have mentioned the two guys and I can't remember their names who came to the Phonios estate to teach Gwen, you know, how to stick the nails. in.
Oh, yeah.
Grabil.
Two guys in prison,
What
They
are
were-
their
Yes, the
names?
prison guard.
the guards,
Curly and
the prison
Gabriel.
guards.
Yeah, the guards. And I can't remember their names or I would have mentioned them. but I didn't wanna look 'em
Gabriel
up.
and
Cruy.
Gabriel and Cooey. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
one-
I mean, they were great.
Yeah.
They were a hoot.
That could be that in a TV show, they might combine that into one character. It's hard to know, you know, what.
well,
No, because it's important that they look so different and Gwen gets the wrong impression about both of them. One
Yeah, but
thought
they
that-
can do something else in the TV
Yeah, I don't know.
show. But
no,
yeah,
I tend to agree with Liz on this one, because they are so totally, I mean, you know, they're just, you know, one is dumb, but the other looks dumb and he's really smart.
Well, and the
And
lesson,
there's no reason, I mean, they play a
Unless-
small enough role that there's no reason not to have two of them. It's not like it would, casting, it wouldn't like cost a whole ton of money because they don't have a very large role in it. So
No.
there's no real reason
No.
not to have
yeah,
two.
they can achieve this.
But I mean,
a
the
similar-
each one of the trainers taught her something different. And
Well,
they taught her illusion.
Yeah,
And it was, which I thought was kind
and
of,
psyching out your competition.
which
Yeah.
I thought was kind of, you know, interesting with Rorom Kiv. And he is an illusionist. And he was talking about, you know,
Yeah.
the art of illusion.
Yeah,
And so
He's a minor character in a way, but a really interesting one too.
it was
he
interesting.
is. Yeah, because he didn't, you know, until afterwards. Did he ever even say anything during the games?
No.
No,
I don't think so.
I think it was only afterwards that he.
Yeah.
had
When he
his
was, I mean,
speaking.
when he was on that one mission with them when they were in the depths of the Ark ship, I don't think he ever. I think that's the first time I ever heard him speak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gwen too.
Actually, the
Mm.
first time, I think he speaks at Kokai's parade
Yes, he does.
yeah.
He does.
when
Ah,
mentions his voice.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're right. That is actually the first time we hear him speak. But it
Now,
wasn't a lot.
There would be, that would be a good question for
Yeah. There you go,
Yes.
Shelley. Write it up.
trivia.
A good trivia
Write
question.
it up before you forget it.
Uh-huh.
When was the first time he spoke?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what were his first words?
Yeah, people probably wouldn't remember his first words, but
Mary
actually, a
would.
lot of people probably wouldn't remember. I don't know that I would have remembered that.
Well,
that
if
was,
it was a multiple choice question, I'd probably figure it out from the answers, but
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you
Yeah.
right now.
yeah, that's true.
Memory isn't quite what it was before.
Oh, I have a terrible memory, so I don't
To
even.
me,
try.
his motivation for being in the games was very fascinating.
I can't even.
I agree. I agree with that, and the fact that he, you know, he chose his category very well. I mean, he would have been an
Yeah.
entertainer by by trade, but oh
Mhm.
well, no, I'm not going to beat her. So let me do something else that I think I can beat the contenders in.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was
Mission
very,
was kind of
very
odd.
methodical.
I mean, we don't really know we don't really know hardly anybody's motivations, but his seemed to be, I don't know, it seemed almost a little weak. Like, are you really willing to risk your life for this? But obviously he was, and he obviously had a great deal of faith in his abilities to believe that,
Yeah.
I can get in here and I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of why I found it so fascinating. I would never have thought of that
Yeah.
as a motivation. I mean, most people, it's like, I have a dying family member I want to save, or,
Yeah.
you know, I want to make this huge local improvement or whatever.
Mm.
But his was like, yeah, I wanted to show that, you know, this is possible and this is my
Yeah.
art. And I'm like,
Okay.
Well,
Mm.
you know, if we're talking selfish, Fuzzy Bottom, I always call him that instead of Fuzzy Bottom.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
mean, he wanted to buy the opera house so that he's guaranteed a job.
Hmm.
I mean, he was, you know, he was a good singer. A bit conceited, but then I guess maybe in his profession, that's kind of a given quality.
Anyway, ladies, I'm going to have to go. So
Yeah, me too. I gotta go check on my
Mm.
husband and see how he's doing. I think he's doing okay. He's been quiet, so.
Well, yeah, cross fingers and hope that's a good thing.
I was gonna say, it's not like kids when they're quiet and you have to go wondering what, you know, what the hell are they? doing?
Wonder what I'm going to find Sharpie on.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, okay. Well,
Okay.
Okay,
well, ladies, we
Good
will.
to see you. Have a good rest of your trip in Australia.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
When
Thank
do
you.
when do you get back, Liz? When do you
I'm
go
back in Greece on the 1st of December.
Okay,
But you have quite a while then. Yeah.
Yeah, still got a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I
Okay.
am.
okay. See you
okay,
guys.
bye,
Okay, bye.
everybody.
Thanksgiving.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.